Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we'll be into the Garps challenges, both Eneru and WhiteBeard, with Luffy, SANJI, and a Mono Side team and a Mono Strength team. So in today's video, I do have two teams for you guys. One that is Mono Side and the other that is Mono Strength, that can take both WhiteBeard and Enel down. So this is the team that we have for the Mono Strength team. We do have Luffy, SANJI as our leader. You guys know how amazing they are by now. 5 times captain when in their dual form. Their special is amazing. Overheal mechanic, block orb manipulation, 2.5 times attack, guaranteed meat orbs. Like, they're just in a phenomenal unit. Their switch ability removes blind, despair, and paralysis for 1 turn. Like, they're very, very good. And they make this kind of content actually very, very easy, as they aren't the quickest captains, but they are definitely one of the safest. And in my opinion, they probably up there and probably like the top 3 best characters in the entire game on OPTC Global at the moment. So, other unit we have on this team, we have Stampede Buggy. His Limit Break Plus is essential, especially for Enel, as we do need 3 turns of fear reduction. So if you are using this team, make sure you do have fear reduction, otherwise this team will not work. Next we have our boy Odin. Wait, am I looking at the right team here? Yeah, we are. Okay, cool. We're looking at our boy Odin here. So, Odin makes strength orbs into Wano slots, and he also boosts the orbs by 2.5 for 2 turns. The fact that we have a full strength team obviously means that we are getting a full board of matching orbs. Sorry, of a full orb buff for our entire team, as well as getting Wano orbs if we do have strength orbs. But he's mainly here just as an orb buff. Next we have Coliseum Eneru. Eneru vs Eneru. Main reason he's here is for WhiteBeard. He's great at removing attack down, paralysis, and chain multiply by 5 turns. If your captain's driven, he's a chain booster too, but like that's beside the point for him. We can also use the support of Judge on him as well, as we do have color affinity against Enel. Finally, we have the GOATs, Vivi and Rebecca. Their switch ability is incredible. Healing, chain block, remove defense up, remove damage reduction, color affinity. They are just so damn strong. Plus, we can use the Bardo support on them, as Bardo can give us healing as well as a threshold, as both of the challenges do give attack up. So, that's the strength team. Let's move on to the side team now. Once again, we are using Luffy and SANJI as our leaders, and we do have the pudding support. Forgot to mention that on the strength team as well. We do have the pudding support for the Enel challenge to remove the stun. Very, very important. Next, we have our V3 Boa on this team. She's great to stall as well as give a lot of healing. And with our overheal mechanic, that healing can actually, it can do a lot for us. Next, we've got V3 Law. V3 Law, amazing sub. Because SANJI and Luffy are a fighter and a free spirit, we can get both the effects of the orb buff as well as the chain lock for 2 turns. He's also got Corazon on him. That's not essential at all. It does help with the bind removal on Enel and the attack down removal on WhiteBeard, but you can put regular Corazon here. That'll work too. Next, we've got Bella Betty. Bella Betty, the limited rare recruit Bella Betty, is a blind and attack down remover. She's also an orb booster for free spirit, as his whole team is free spirit. And then finally, we do have Rebecca. Now, Rebecca needs to be limit break key for this to work. She also needs 3 turns of fear reduction, very similar to Buggy. Because she's VV as well, though, we can use Bardo, just like we were on VV Rebecca. And it works very, very well. Just for that threshold and that extra healing works. It just works great. Finally, we are using the Liberal Hind on both teams, as the Liberal Hind is, in my opinion, the best ship in the entire game. So, let's hop into WhiteBeard first, utilizing our Mono Strength Luffy SANJI team. Then we might hop over to Enel, and then we'll come back for the side variation. Alright, come on. So, we're going to take this guy here, and then let's hop in. So as I mentioned, this team will be able to clear both Garps challenges. So if you guys are looking for a team that can get both of them done, just a little bit more effective when you are team building, doing this sort of content. The downside to this is because it can clear both of them, it is not the most optimal team to be taking these down. It can do it, but it's not the most optimal team whatsoever. So on turn 1, as you guys know, we are going to take out our Strength Marine Lackey friend. That way we can move into the next stage with all of our specials ready to go. Man, Luffy and SANJI just have so much healing. 4,000 healing every single turn. Like, that's crazy. Alright, so on the first stage against the Watermelon Headman, we are going to do our switching. Do all of our switch abilities. And then we can use our Stampede Buggy special. Stampede Buggy is going to remove the attack down. And then we can use our Odin special to give us a orb boost, as well as some Wano orbs. Now, I didn't really want to use that Wano orb, but it is what it is. Odin has an amazing sailor ability that when you use another free spirit or slasher special, I think it's free spirit as well. I know it's definitely slasher, and if it's not free spirit, I'm gonna look like a total cuck. But if it is, it should be. Every time another free spirit unit uses a special, he actually gets turns of cooldown. And the reason that's a good thing is it means that we can use his special more than one time in the run. And being such a high orb booster, as well as manipulating Wano orbs, it's going to see a lot of handiness. So on the second turn, we do want to make sure that we take out Hikuma and the ox-looking guy, and then we can focus on the dude with the ball and the chain in the back here. I cannot remember all these guys' names. The YB, I need to rewatch Marineford, actually. That's what I really need to do. As I cannot remember any of these guys' names. Any at all, to be honest. That's a lie, I can remember some. There's Speed Gilly, we've got Iso, and we've got Fossa in the back here. So I do remember those. Now, this is where the support of Bardo is very good, as he comes in as they do give themselves an attack up. Now, we did get unlucky here, as Fossa is on a 2-turn cooldown. The downside to the big reason that's an issue is because he does a lot of damage. He does a lot of damage. Like, a lot of damage. So we are going to try and focus on taking him down a little bit, and then we can kill him on the next turn, as he does a lot less damage than Speed Gill does. Now, we do have that threshold from Bardo there, so that's going to help us out with tanking some damage from Speed Gill. And now we can focus on taking out both Iso and Fossa on the next turn. The switch ability of Vivi and Rebecca is just absolutely god tier, as it just gives us so much more damage with that 2.5 times chain lock. Now that we've killed our boy Fossa in the back, we can switch back into our Vivi unit. That means that we're going to be able to get that chain lock and the color affinity. And then we can just keep gobbling up meat orbs every single turn. Now the upside to using Luffy SANJI is it's so easy to stall with them that you just don't have to worry about taking damage. Like, we're getting hit for 15k, and for normal teams, that would be a lot of damage. But with Luffy and SANJI and their amazing captain ability, a lot of recovery, as well as giving the matching recovery orbs every single time we switch, it helps us tank so much damage, and that way we can actually stall back for our specials. So we're going to switch with Vivi Rebecca on the next stage against Jozu. We can use their special to remove the damage reduction and the threshold. We can switch with our Luffy SANJI units to give ourselves some recovery orbs, and then we can actually use our Luffy SANJI special. Luffy SANJI going to give us a full board of recovery. Alright, yeah, so it does work with free spirits for Odin. So Odin does get cooldown, which is great. Now we can just hit our perfects and win, right? Against Jozu here. Yeah. No. Yes. Okay, cool. I was going to say, ideally, you actually want to be Vivi on this particular stage, so you get the color affinity. But I just didn't switch on that last stage against Speed Gill and just totally forgot. So on the next stage, we come up against Marco and Vista. Marco and Vista give us 3 turns of paralysis, 3 turns of attack down, and 3 turns of chain lock. Normally, this would be very annoying. But we have our boy Enel here, and Enel is going to basically remove all of those nasty defects for us. Now, because we have so much HP, we're not even worried about how much damage these guys do. Now, these two can hit you ridiculously hard. I think between the two of them, they hit for like 35k. Yeah, 34k. So that's a lot of damage. But again, with Luffy and SANJI just guaranteeing those meat orbs, the switchability of Vivi Rebecca giving us healing, as well as such high recovery from all these units as well, we just don't even have to worry about the fact that we are taking so much damage. And from the damage we are taking, as you can see, we are just healing it all back up. So 4,000 healing end of turn, plus the meat orbs, that's 17k that Vista is doing to us. It seems like a lot, but it's really not doing that much damage. Now that we've just used our switch abilities once again, we can finish him off with our SANJIs and move on to the next stage against Ace and WhiteBeard. So against Ace and WhiteBeard, Ace is on a 1-turn cooldown, and he does Slot Binders, which is sort of annoying because Luffy SANJI doesn't have Slot Bind removal, and then WhiteBeard's going to clear our buffs and put up the end of turn damage. This is where Pudding is going to kick in, but normally it wouldn't matter, as Pudding is basically just here for the Enel run. Then we can use our Luffy switch ability with Luffy SANJI, then use this Luffy SANJI specials to give ourselves a full board of recovery orbs. We've got our boy Odin here. Odin's going to give free spirits and slashes a orb boost, and then we can switch with our Vivi Rebecca. Now, because we switch into Vivi, we can actually get the orb boost from Odin. Now, Odin's great because he does strength units, and then free spirit and slashes. Because Vivi is a free spirit and Rebecca is a strength, you can actually get both the orb boost for both of those units. So it works very, very well. And as you can see, that we did take out WhiteBeard fairly easily, very, very comfortably, without any issues moving through the run. So that was the WhiteBeard run. Let's now hop into the Enel run, or the Eneru run, however you want to say it. Both ways are perfectly acceptable. So we're going to take on Mono Strength against Enel here, with the exact same team, which is really, really cool. It just makes life easier when you're just sort of bouncing between. So on stage 1, we are going to come up against the Marines, just like in every single Garbs challenge. And we do want to make sure we kill the Strength one, as we are running a Mono Strength team, for those of you that have not done this event yet. Now, I like to hit with my Luffys, as switching with Luffy to give a matching orb is very, very easy. And that way you can keep matching orbs on the rest of your team. So on the second stage, we come up against a bunch of Skypiea units, and they blind our characters by 4 turns, 3 random units. But this is where the switchability of Luffy and Sanji is so damn strong, as we can actually just remove that with one of the switches. Unfortunately, we are special blinded here, but it's not the end of the world, as we can focus all of our shots on the Dex unit. And because we switch with our Vivi and Rebecca, we are going to have color affinity against the quick unit as well, and then we can just take an extra turn on the strength guy in the back. The reason we're going to take an extra turn on the strength guy in the back is because he gives himself attack up if you don't kill him, and that's actually going to trigger the Bardo support. Now, the reason that's good is because with the overheal mechanic, we can actually utilize that healing to our advantage, and then because we get the threshold, we can actually just eat some meat orbs here, take an extra turn to remove the special blind, easy peasy, before we move on to the next stage. Now, if you want to make this a bit quicker, you don't have to take this extra turn, but I always like to take it, especially with that Bardo support, as it just makes life a hell of a lot easier later down the track when that special blind has removed. So we are going to finish this guy off here. He does put up 4 turns of defense up as well, which is fairly annoying, but as you can see that we can get through it fairly easily. On the next stage against Tweedledee and Tweedledum, they give us 2 turns of burn, which is a little bit frustrating to get around, and they do have 3 great hit barriers. But what we can do here is we can use our Luffy Sanji special, give us some more healing, and with the switchability of Vivi and Rebecca, we can take them out. Now, we do have Barrier Pen on Odin, so I always like to hit with Odin second. So as you can see, like that much damage that we get from Odin just going through the barriers means we do not need to worry about hitting with that burn. So on to the next stage, we come up against Wiper and 2 of the other Skypiea units. We're going to switch with our Vivi and Rebecca, and with our Luffy and Sanji to guarantee those meat orbs that we've got left over as matching. And then we're going to focus on taking on the 2 guys in the back out. Now, because we have Vivi with color affinity on the strength unit, we are going to hit with her once we have switched over to him, and that way we can take both of them out very, very easily, just using our normal attacks. As I mentioned at the beginning, having Vivi and Rebecca on the team just makes life so much easier, as the extra healing is lovely, but the chain lock should never be underestimated with how much extra damage it actually does. Starting at a 2.5 times chain lock gives you just, honestly, something like 5 times extra damage to what a normal turn normally would, and it just helps getting through these fodder stages without using specials so much easier. Wiper's going to hit us fairly hard, but we do have those meat orbs that we can guarantee ourselves from Luffy and Sanji. Plus, with the switchability of Vivi and Rebecca, we're getting about 5,000 healing back every single turn. So we can take that extra turn to kill Wiper, get some more HP, and then finish him off on the next turn. So on to the next stage, we come up against these 2 guys. I cannot remember their names for the life of me. The most annoying part about this particular stage is they actually roll your specials back by, I think, something like 3 turns. After the preemptive, it does become 2, but it is still very annoying. Now, we do want to focus on the guy on the ball. He does have 4 turns of threshold, and if you don't kill him on the first turn, he is going to give you, I think, 4 turns of attack down, or maybe 3 turns of attack down. But that's really not that difficult to get around, as the only reason we brought Enel on this team is because it's the same as our WhiteBeard team, and this is the time where he actually shines. You don't actually need to use his special here, once you actually get it back, obviously, because of the reverse. Yeah, because it only does 2 turns. But this is like the only time we're actually going to need to use the Enel special, so the reason that we have it, we may as well use it. But we do have the healing of Luffy and Sanji here to keep us alive. As you can see, like, these guys hit us very, very hard. Once we have the Enel special, we can remove that attack down. We can switch with our Vivi and Rebecca and our Luffy Sanjis, guarantee us some orbs, guarantee us that chain lock, and then we can take out this guy on the ball nice and easily here, and move on to the dude with the bird on the next turn. Make sure you're eating those meat orbs. Very, very important you're gobbling up those meat orbs, as you do want as much healing back as possible, as we are guaranteed we are not going to kill him on that turn anyway. Now that we've got our Psy variations of Luffy and Sanji out, or we're in our Sanji form, we can move on to the next stage by doing extra damage with the Psy variant of Sanji. On the next stage, we come up against Gedatsu and Om. Now, very, very important here that you actually leave this stage as Sanji. Because we're running a mono-strength team, you want to make sure you leave this stage as a strength unit. Otherwise, Enel will turn into the opposite color. And if we are Sanji, she's actually going to turn into he's actually going to turn into an int unit. So very, very important that you do make sure on this particular stage, you are Luffy before you move on to the next fight against Enel. Now, we've got so much healing already that I'm not even worried about eating these meat orbs. I just want to try and do as much damage as I possibly can to Gedatsu and Om. So that way we can move on to the next stage nice and simply. I'm actually going to use a Luffy Sanji special here. I'm not in the right color variant, but I do have the ship live, so I am going to be able to get the cooldowns back that way. And that way I can just pop the Luffy Sanji special on the final stage. On the final stage against Enel, he puts up a barrier, and then he stuns our captains, gives us 3 turns of Special Bind and 3 turns of Sailor Despair, which is very, very annoying. But as you see, I made sure that I was my Luffy unit, and then the pudding comes in to remove the stun. What we can do here is we can use the Buggy special, as he's immune to fear. We can switch with our Vivi and Rebecca. We can switch with our Luffy Sanji. That way we're guaranteed recovery orbs. We can use the Liberal Hind special to get the cooldowns for our Sanji. Use the Sanji special to give ourselves a full board of orbs. And then we can finish it off with our Odin special. Now, we're not going to have color affinity with our Luffy and Sanji, unfortunately. But that's okay, because we can start the chain there, and then Odin's just going to kill him. As you can see, like, we just have so much damage with this particular team. It's very, very safe. It gets both of them done very, very easily without having too much trouble along the way. Just that overheal mechanic, it actually just makes life so much easier for Luffy and Sanji to clear content very, very comfortably. So now that we've done the strength variation, we're going to hop back into Whitebeard now, and we're going to use the Psy team. So this Psy team, we'll be able to clear both of them. It's just about sort of optimizing your run. Now, limited rare recruit Bello Betty is replaceable with someone else that does an attack down removal. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of anyone too much, but just making this team, I don't use Bello Betty, like, ever, so I really wanted to incorporate her in this team somewhere, but she's definitely replaceable with another attack down reducer. Now, on turn 1, as I mentioned in the strength variation, I always like to attack with my Luffy and Sanji. You can gobble up some meat orbs, as you do need to switch with them as well, and that way, when we switch back into Sanji, we've guaranteed ourselves a full board of orbs once again. On the next stage, when we go back into Luffy, on the next stage, we come against Mr. Watermelon Head Guy. This is where we can switch back into our Luffy. We did get lucky with Sanji having a meat orb as well. And then we can use our Bello Betty special to set the defense to 0, give ourselves an orb buff, and give ourselves it gives us an orb buff, defense down, and gives us the attack down removal. Lost my words there, apologies about that. So on to the next stage, we come up against Higuma, Mr. Chainball Guy, and the Ox-looking men. They're going to special bind us for 3 turns. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use our Rebecca special. Not overly essential that we use Rebecca's special, but we really actually don't need it for the rest of the run. So we may as well use it now, as we do actually have color affinity on Higuma in the front here, as we are running a full Psy team. And then we can use our other Sanjis to take out Mr. Oxman in the back there. Oh, we were so close. If you don't actually kill the Oxman in the first turn, he's just going to bind your recovery. But with this particular team, if you have all your characters rainbowed or like limit broken, you will be able to remove that 15 turns very, very easily. On the second turn, we're going to switch back into our Luffys. We did get a bunch of meat orbs, so we are going to gobble them up, as we did take quite a lot of damage against this chain guy. But it is more important to actually kill him, so if you don't eat them all, that is okay. On the next stage, we come up against Speed Gill, Iso, and Fossa. they're going to give themselves the attack up, which is where the barter support kicks in. It actually makes this stage so much nicer to deal with, as now that we've got the threshold, we don't have to worry about taking too much damage from Speed Gill, with also doing a little bit of damage to Speed Gill in the back as well. With the overheal mechanic though, you don't really have to worry about it too much, as the overheal mechanic just provides you so much safety when you are moving through this particular stage. So we're going to try and take out Speed Gill on this particular turn now. And then with our Luffy, we can take out Iso in the front there. Now, if you don't take out Iso and you take a shot there, it's really not that big of a deal. As I've been saying this whole run, this overheal mechanic stuff, it helps so goddamn much with stalling especially, and getting your specials back, that you don't even have to really worry about it too much if you are taking all that extra damage. As long as you are then switching with your Luffy and Sanji, getting some more meat orbs, using that to heal yourself back up, it makes life easy. Luffy and Sanji just make life easy with that overheal mechanic. But as I mentioned in the beginning, they aren't the fastest captains in the entire world, even though they are probably one of the safest. So on the next stage, we come up against Jozu. Jozu is going to put up 3 turns of damage reduction and defense up. The damage reduction and defense up is actually really, really high. So you do want to make sure that you either remove all of it, or you set the defense to 0 if you're not removing the defense up. But with this particular team and the amount of HP we actually have, we can actually just stall our way through Jozu's defense up, provided you don't do too much damage to him. But as I mentioned, that defense up is so damn strong. If you just sit there and you eat your meat orbs that you get guaranteed from Luffy and Sanji, you're going to be fine, especially when he does this big, brilliant punk attack, which normally does it's normally an insta-kill, to be honest. But as you saw there, it wasn't. So we're going to switch with our Luffy and Sanji now, and we're going to use my Luffy and Sanji special. I do have my Luffy and Sanji limit break key, so they do have a little bit extra cooldown. I can't remember if the friend was as well, but if it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. But with that extra 2.5 times attack, the 5 times captain multiplier, I forgot that I was Luffy at the back there, and I was like, if I don't have the damage here, I'm going to look like a schmuck. But funny enough, we did. Honestly, you wanted to start the chain with Luffy. I didn't realize that I still had Luffy as my captain. Alright, on the next stage, we come up against Marco and Vista. Marco and Vista give us 3 turns of paralysis, chain lock, and attack down. So we can use the amazing switchability of Luffy and Sanji here to remove one of the turns of the paralysis, and then we can actually use the Boa special. Now, Boa is going to apply that Mero ability, which is 15 counter hits against both Marco and Vista. Now, we are just going to try and stall out the attack down and the chain lock, and what you can actually do here is you can actually bounce between the two of them, so that way you've just kept the Mero ability live. On the 3rd turn, what's his name? Marco's actually going to reapply the 3 turns of paralysis, but this is where again that amazing switchability of Luffy and Sanji comes into play, as we can actually remove that in 1 turn. Just stupidly easy to remove. Once we've done that, we can use our Liberal Hind special, just to give ourselves a little bit of extra cooldowns. And then what we're going to do here is we're actually going to use our Bello Betty special. Bello Betty is going to give us a orb boost, as well as set their defense to 0. And then we can use the Rebecca special once again, as we don't actually need the color affinity on the final stage. I'm going to switch back into Luffy though, just because Luffy's a higher captain multiplier. And then we can just take out Vista, as we do have color affinity and an orb buff. And then we can focus on Marco. Easy peasy. Now onto the final stage, we come up against Ace and WhiteBeard. Now WhiteBeard has so much goddamn HP. You got to be really careful, because Ace looks like he has the most HP, but WhiteBeard's up there, I'm telling you. So WhiteBeard's going to remove our buffs, but like I said, we don't actually need the color affinity. We can switch with our Luffy and Sanji there. We can switch with our other Luffy and Sanji as well, as having the extra Psi unit is actually going to be more beneficial. And then we can use their special to give ourselves a full board of orbs. Now, as mentioned in the strength variation, the top 2 rows are going to get slop on it, and Luffy and Sanji can't get around that, but Law definitely can. So I'd make sure you put Law down the bottom. I think maybe Boa actually has slop bind removal as well, but I'll have to double check that. But as you guys will see here, with just the attack boost and the orb buff, we can just fly our way through WhiteBeard and Ace here and finish it off with Boa. easy peasy. So that was the side team taking on WhiteBeard. It works very, very well. Like as I've been rambling on about this, that overheal mechanic, it makes the team so much safer when normal teams would actually like really struggle, as taking all of those extra hits. I was actually just recently doing it with the Sweet 3. Taking all of those extra hits is normally just like, it's just an appetite for destruction. It's just game over at that point. But with Luffy and Sanji having that overheal, it's wild. It's just so wild, like how much tanking they have, especially because they do have the Psy variation in them too. They just have access to such great subs, as I actually believe that Psy is the best color. So here we are now over against Enel, using the same team that we just used against WhiteBeard, running Mono Psy. And on turn 1, as you guys will see, that I always like to switch into Sanji to make sure that I can get a little bit of healing, just to start that overheal mechanic. And then with the Sanji Captain and the Liberal Hind, we can just get so much healing. On the second stage, when we come up against 3 of the Skypiea units, they bind 3 of our random units for 4 turns. That's where Corazon comes in to remove that, but as you guys know with the amazing switchability of Luffy Sanji, we don't actually need it, but it definitely does help. So what we want to do here is we do want to just try and kill 2 of them if we can. We are going to try and finish with our Luffy units. Because we have a full board of matching orbs as well, it does help a lot with our damage. So we're going to finish it off with our Luffy units, and then we're left with just one of the Skypiea units. I always like to keep the strength one alive, because on the second turn, he's going to do that threshold, and we are going to just use the same trick that we did with the strength variation, as we can just get a whole bunch of healing on this particular turn. So we're going to switch with our Luffy and Sanjis to give ourselves matching orbs, and then we're just going to pass the turn here. You can hit your perfects if you want to do a bit more damage, but this team has enough, should have enough damage to take him out on the second turn. The big thing you just want to do there is literally just take some time to eat some meat orbs to start off your overheal mechanic, in case you want to hang on to your Luffy and Sanji specials. Okay, so we don't have the damage, so maybe just doing a bit of damage when you're eating those meat orbs is a bit more beneficial, but stalling out to remove the special bind, it's also going to be best in your favor, as that way you just have access to your specials a lot sooner. And as you can see, like, it just looks like we haven't even taken damage. The amount of healing, 4,000 from the meat orb, 4,000 in the end of turn, it's wild. Wild the amount of healing we can get back on this particular team. So, on this particular turn against Tweedledee and Tweedledum, I'm actually going to use my Law Special. Now, the reason I'm going to use Law Special is because he actually didn't get Special Binded, but you could easily just use a Luffy and Sanji Special here instead. That would also work absolutely fine. Remember that Boa actually has Barrier Pen, so utilizing Boa to break the barrier is also not only going to break the barrier, but it's also going to do damage and make it a lot easier to take out Tweedledee and Tweedledum on that stage. On the next stage, he has Wiper and 2 of his Skypiea friends. They're going to put up Attack Up. Now, if you don't do the trick that I like to do at the beginning, just to sort of stall out the special blinds, you can actually get the effect of Butter on this particular turn. Arguably, that could be better and more beneficial, but it's totally up to you, whichever way you want to go about it. So on this particular stage, I'm actually going to use a Luffy and Sanji special. It's going to put me back to my max overheal, like, HP. And then I can just do so much damage to all these units that I'm not even going to worry about stalling on them, as we are already at full HP. Wiper is on a 2-turn cooldown though, so we are going to utilize that just to get some specials, to get the specials back. But we do have Boa on this team. We do have the Liberal Hind for cooldowns. So that's also going to come in handy as we make our way through the run. So on to the next stage. I cannot remember these 2 guys. I'm going to call this guy Exercise Ball Man, and this guy here is the guy that wishes he was Pierre. I don't know, something like that. But on this particular stage, we are going to use our Boa special. Because we get our specials roll back by 2 turns, we can use Boa to roll them forward for 2 turns. Then we can switch with our Luffy and Sanji, and we can use our Luffy and Sanji special. Now, it's not really essential that you use Luffy Sanji special, as you can just take damage on this particular turn for days. But I always hate getting the attack down from this guy, so I always like to try and take him out in 1 turn. Even though he does have Threshold, just by using the Luffy Sanji special, we can just get tons of damage to take him out. Now, we do want to try and stall back for our Luffy Sanji, our other Luffy Sanji special, but I don't really think that this is going to be the turn to do it, as we do have the Liberal Hind special back. Oh no, okay, we're good. We will have the Liberal Hind special back this turn now, so we can utilize that in our favor. But we do need to stall out something like 4 turns, I think, off the top of my head. Against Gacha and Om on the second last stage, they give us 8 turns of recovery bind. But with this team, so many healers, so many characters that utilize the heal mechanic, that they all have the recovery blind limit break. So what we're actually going to want to do here is we want to take out Om. So what we want to do is we're going to use the special of Bello Betty. We've switched with one of our Luffy Sanjis to make those recovery orbs matching. And then we're going to hit our perfects. Because we actually don't need to eat these meat orbs, we have Boa's healing still in effect. That 5 turns of healing that Boa can provide is just so monstrous that we actually don't even need to worry about healing on this stage. And we can sort of just hang on or maximize the damage from our meat orbs. As mentioned, we are going to need to stall out for our Luffy and Sanji special before the final stage. But that's going to be nice and easy to do, as Gacha here only binds us. Now, unfortunately, our Luffy and Sanji got blinded, which means that we can't switch with them to remove that blind. But lucky for us, they still get cooldowns, which is the main thing. So we are just going to take another turn here on Gacha. He's probably going to bind us again. But because of the overheal mechanic, we can just tank for days. And as mentioned, every second turn, he is going to bind us. Now, because he didn't bind our Luffy and Sanji captains, we can just switch with Luffy and Sanji. Their switchability is just so broken. Like, it's... I don't like using the word broken unless, like, they actually break a mechanic. But, like, the fact that they can just get through, like, bind, despair, paralysis, it's so handy to have. And I feel like the way they balance this unit is by making non-recovery orbs matching. Just when you switch is when they make the recovery orbs matching. So, on the final stage, you need to make sure that you go into the stage as Sanji as well. That is very, very important. Something that I actually forgot to note throughout the Sai run, especially on that last stage. So I do apologize if that got anyone, but you need to make sure that you are Sanji. So what we're going to do on this stage here, we can use our Rebecca special. Rebecca's going to remove the special bind as she has fear removal. Then we can switch with our Luffy and Sanji to give ourselves recovery orbs matching. We can use our Law special. Law's going to give us a chain lock and an orb buff. And then we can finish it off with our main Luffy and Sanji special to give ourselves a full border orbs. Now with that, we're just going to absolutely clap and we'll hear no dramas whatsoever. So there you guys go. That was Luffy and Sanji, mono strength, mono Sai, one team for each color, taking on both Whitebeard and Eneru. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down there and belt that like button. And if you want to stay up to date with more OPTC content I post, hit the big red subscribe button too. But guys, most importantly, wherever you are in this beautiful world, remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, guys, I thank you for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Lights!